For 60 years, the most famous woman of the 20th century died without knowing her own father's name, and the world believed the secret died with her. But thanks to a DNA test from a single hair collected on the day Marylin Monroe died, scientists finally uncovered the truth. Her ancestry reaches from Hollywood all the way to Scottish warriors, Irish kings, and the founders of America. So why did her birth certificate name the wrong man, and what else lay hidden in her bloodline? Norma Jean Mortensen entered the world on June 1st, 1926 in Los Angeles. The name on her birth certificate, Martin Edward Mortensen, was already a fiction. Mortensen had left her mother, Gladys, months before Norma Jean was even conceived. As a child, Marylin was handed a gold-framed photograph by her mother, a man with a thin mustache and piercing eyes. She whispered, "This is your father," but she never named him. The image became a private relic, a symbol of the mystery that would haunt Marylin for life. Official documents told one story, but at home, questions lingered. Marylin grew up hearing rumors, feeling the absence of a father she could never meet. The man on her birth certificate was a stranger, and even as a little girl, she sensed the truth was being kept from her. Gladys's silence only deepened the void. The gold-framed photograph stayed with her, tucked away in drawers and memory, a silent witness to the secret at the heart of her identity. Every time Marylin looked at that photograph, she searched for answers in the man's eyes. The world would come to know her as a star, but she began her life as a child with no real father, caught between official records and a mother's guarded secret. That missing piece would shape her search for belonging and drive her to seek the truth that official papers refused to give. Charles Stanley Gifford worked as a shift foreman at Consolidated Film Industries, the same Hollywood lab where Gladys found work splicing reels. In 1925, their brief affair ended as quickly as it began. When Gladys became pregnant, Gifford slipped out of her life, remarried, and erased every trace of what had happened. For years, he kept the secret from his new family. Norma Jean, his daughter, was never to be spoken of. At 18, desperate for answers, Marylin found his number and dialed. The voice on the other end was cold, unfamiliar. She introduced herself. Gifford cut her off. "I'm married. I have a family. Call my lawyer." That was all. The line went dead, and with it any hope of connection. The rejection stung, but Marylin never stopped wondering who she really was. Fame brought her another chance. By the 1950s, Marylin Monroe was a household name. She tried again, hoping that the world's most recognized face might finally open a door that had always been shut. Gifford refused to see her. He would not acknowledge her, not even in private. The silence became a wound that never healed. Marylin carried that pain through every spotlight, every headline, a father who denied her, a past she could never rewrite. On a laboratory bench in Toulouse, a lock of hair collected the day Marylin Monroe died became the key to a family secret kept for decades. Director Francois Pomes secured the strand. Its origins traced back to the embalmer who prepared Marylin's body in 1962. DNA researcher Ludovic Orlando took on the challenge, working with keratin that had survived 60 years. From that fragile sample, Orlando was able to recover 22% of Marylin's genetic profile, a remarkable feat given the age and condition of the hair. The next step required a living relative. Francine Gifford Deere, granddaughter of Charles Stanley Gifford, provided a saliva sample. When the results came back, the answer was clear. A 3-generation DNA match confirmed what rumors and resemblance had only suggested. Charles Stanley Gifford was, without doubt, Marylin Monroe's biological father. A mystery that haunted Marylin's life was finally settled, not by old photographs or whispered stories, but by science. Long before Hollywood, Marylin Monroe's bloodline ran through Scottish soil and ancient battlefields. Her mother's surname Monroe reached back to Clan Monroe of the Highlands, a family rooted in the wild hills near Eden, Killimore. In 1651, a Highland soldier named John Monroe was captured at the Battle of Worcester, the final clash of the English Civil War. He was taken prisoner and forced across the Atlantic, exiled to the American colonies, a fate shared by hundreds of defeated Scots. This journey marked the beginning of a new chapter for the Monroe name in America, but the line stretched even further back. Genetic research from the Clan Monroe DNA Project uncovered a deeper origin. Marylyn's Y-DNA matches a rare signature found in 4 living male lines, all descending from a single Irish ancestor who lived around 275 AD. That ancient figure stands at the root of her family tree, connecting her to the earliest Celts, warriors whose legacy survived centuries of exile, migration, and change. In 1620, Francis Cook stepped off the Mayflower and onto the shores of Plymouth Colony, forging a path that would echo through American history. Marylin Monroe counted him among her direct ancestors, a bloodline that began with a pilgrim and ran through centuries of settlers and survivors. Her family tree branches out to some of the most storied names in the nation's past. She shares kinship with President Abraham Lincoln, the leader who held a fractured country together, and with Senator Stephen Douglas, Lincoln's rival, on the debate stage as the country struggled with the question of slavery. Her roots also reach back to President James Monroe, whose name graces the Monroe Doctrine and the capital city of Liberia. Even the British royal line touches her story, linking her to Prince George through distant cousinship. Marylyn's heritage, hidden behind the Hollywood lights, was woven into the fabric of America itself. Pilgrims, presidents, and royalty, all in the same family line. Jacob Monroe left his Indiana farm in July 1862 and enlisted with the 70th Indiana Infantry, answering a call that would change his family's fate. Under the command of Colonel Benjamin Harrison, who would one day become president, Jacob marched south with his regiment into the heart of the Civil War. On May 15, 1864, at the Battle of Resaca, he was wounded during Sherman's push toward Atlanta. The injury never fully healed. Jacob died young, leaving behind a son, Otis, who would become a railroad painter and also die before reaching old age in 1909. The Monroe men seemed destined for sacrifice, bravery on the battlefield, but lives cut short, a pattern that would echo through the generations. Mental illness ran through Marylin Monroe's family like a shadow that would not lift. Her grandmother, Della Monroe, suffered from what doctors then called manic depressive illness, spending her last years in a psychiatric hospital. Della's husband, Tilford Marion Hogan, died by suicide, leaving behind a legacy of pain that touched every generation. Marylyn's mother, Gladys, was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and institutionalized when Marylyn was just 8 years old. Unable to care for her daughter, Gladys signed away custody, and Marylyn entered a world of foster homes and orphanages, 12 placements in all. To the public, Marylyn claimed her mother was dead, hiding the truth until a tabloid discovered Gladys alive in an asylum. Gladys would outlive her famous daughter by more than 2 decades, both women bound by a family history of suffering they could never escape. After years of silence, Charles Stanley Gifford sent Marylyn a single get-well card while she was hospitalized. He spelled her name wrong, Marylyn. That card, the only tangible gesture from her father, surfaced decades later and was sold at auction in 2022. Gifford died in 1965, never acknowledging her in life. For Francine Gifford Deer, discovering this connection through DNA was overwhelming. She said they were overwhelmed by the irrefutable evidence. The misspelled card became a symbol of the bond Marylyn longed for but never received, a reminder of questions that were answered only after her death. Today, DNA unlocks secrets even the most famous among us could never know. As science reshapes our understanding of identity, Marylyn's true story reminds us, ancestry is more than legend, It is legacy, loss, and the search for belonging. The answers we seek are sometimes written in our blood,